snow had numbed her feet. She began running. Too late. Everything was closing in on her. The cold was reaching into her bones. The snow was sucking at her feet. The blackness of the night was all but complete, and the trees themselves were reaching out, scratching at her skin, lashing at her arms and her back and her thighs and her breasts. She sank to her knees, sobbing, and was reaching out, stretching her arms as if in supplication, when a blow from behind struck her back. Searing pain shot through her, and she pitched forward, sprawling out, and at last a scream erupted from her throat, and she woke up. For a moment she lay still, gasping for breath, trying to shake the last of the nightmare from her still reeling mind. The memory of the forest began to fade, and the grasping limbs and twigs of the trees retreated. The snow was gone, and she felt only the sheets of her bed beneath her. Yet the cold still gripped her, and the pain in her back, instead of fading away, was growing worse with every moment that passed, and the sense that she was not alone was stronger than ever. "I'm asleep," she told herself. "I'm still asleep, and this is only part of the nightmare." She lay perfectly still, trying to will the last vestiges of the dream away, as she had willed herself not to scream only a moment ago, when she was still held in the grip of the nightmare's thrall. Then she heard something. Breathing. Not the slow and steady breathing of a sleeping bedmate, nor the heavy breath of a lover. No, this was the breath of an exultant beast, panting in rapture over its fallen prey, and as she lay on the bed, trying to clear her mind and gather her wits, she knew with growing certainty that it was already too late. The agony that was spreading through her body told her the predator had already struck. Now, still lying face down, she heard a slight change in the predator's breathing, felt it gathering itself together, felt it coiling, readying itself to strike again. She had to do something, had to throw herself off the bed, had to escape from the room, escape from the house, escape from the predator. The thought was cut off as she felt another blow strike her back, another flash of pain sear her body. Now another scream rose in her throat and erupted into the darkness, and finally she threw herself over, struggling to flee from the bed and the attacker and the room and the house. But as she twisted around, her eyes locked onto the face that loomed above her. "No!" she cried. But even though she had screamed the word as loudly as she could, her voice was already reduced to a rattling gasp. Then, above the face, the knife in the man's hand caught the moonlight, and for a moment that seemed like an eternity, it hovered above her, glowing darkly with her own blood. "No," she said again, but this time the word was nothing more than a weak plea, and even as it died in the night, the knife began to descend. She watched it arc toward her, her eyes following the blade as it sank into her breast. For a second, she felt nothing more than the heaviness of the blow as the fist that clutched the knife struck her chest. It wasn't until the knife was once more yanked free of her flesh that the searing heat struck too. "No," she sighed once more as the knife rose high yet again. This time she felt nothing as the blade plunged into her, for already her spirit had escaped her body. For a moment, the woman watched from high above, free from the pain and the cold and the darkness of the night. Over and over again the blade flashed downward, slashing at the corpse that now lay still upon her bed. But the spirit hovering high above the bed was no longer concerned with the body that had once been hers. Now she thought only of another, her daughter. Her little girl, the child she could no longer protect. Too late. Too late. The eternal darkness swallowed her soul as her husband finished his grisly task. Chapter 1. As the last bell